Will you be the one to witness the birth of the incredible Nintendo Entertainment System? The one to play with Rob, the extraordinary video robot, batteries not included. He helps you tackle even the toughest challenge. Will you be the first to raise the incredibly accurate Zapper and play games like Duck Hunt or action-packed Hogan's Alley and high-flying Kung Fu, each sold separately? Will you be the one to experience the Nintendo Entertainment System? Comes with Rob, Zapper, Control Deck, 2 controllers, Gyromite, and Duck Hunt.
Now you're playing with power.
Hey folks, Crazy Climber 80 here again, and you knew this was coming. This time we're going to have a look at the top 8-bit third-generation video game console, the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was released in the US in 1985, but it began life as the Nintendo Famicom, or Family Computer. The controls were similar to this, and it had a lot of the same games, but this was released in Japan back in 1983. It later became the Famicom Disk System, or it had a disk system peripheral that played those little hard plastic floppy disks. That was released in 1986 in Japan. But the Nintendo Entertainment System was released in October of 1985 in the US and later in other countries, and it had a different look. See, it's generally light gray and dark gray and black. And it was released at the sales price of $179. And it generally had over 700 official games. Holy cow. Some things about the system were really weird. The shape of the plugs for the controller that went in the front were really odd shaped, and the game cartridges were really odd shaped. The top 3 best-selling games for the Nintendo Entertainment System were Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario Bros. 2. The computer inside was a Ricoh 2A03 8-bit processor with MOS technology and a 6502 core. There was a 55-color palette. And we're going to look at some peripherals for the system. First off, let's look at ROB, Robot Operating Buddy, ROB. This was released in the US in 1985, right around the same time as the Nintendo Entertainment System was. And it was released in Japan earlier that year, known as Family Computer Robot. I have no idea how to run this stupid thing. It was a complete and utter flop. There were only 2 games that worked with it, and they were called Stack Up and Gyromite. The robot had like a little spinning top or something with it. It was really, really stupid. Next, we're going to look at the NES controller, just a regular controller that came with the system. It was perfect. It had a little thumb joypad, select and start buttons, and buttons B and A. I always thought it should be button A and B. I don't know why it was B and then A, but whatever. It was the perfect controller, and it was the prototype for a lot of different other controllers to follow. And now we're going to look at the NES Zapper, and this was the light gun that came with the Nintendo Entertainment System. The original Japanese one looked a lot more like a real gun. The US one came along in October 1985, so right around the same time as the NES was released. And next is the NES Advantage, one of the greatest controllers. This was fantastic. This had a joystick. It had the B and A buttons, but you could set them to turbo, and you had dials to adjust the amount of turbo that they get. So awesome. And there was also a slow motion button, and on some games, like I believe it was Ninja Gaiden, this was a godsend. It made the game so much easier to deal with. Next, we're going to look at the NES Max, and this was a little like the Advantage, but it didn't have a joystick. It had a thumb pad that I guess wasn't always ideal, but it had 2 turbo buttons at least. And next is the Bandai Power Pad, and it kind of predated a Dance Dance Revolution. This was released by Bandai in 1988 for the US, and it was also known as Family Fun Fitness. You stepped on the buttons real quick to keep fit. It came with world-class track meet, also known as stadium events, and other games that worked with it were Athletic World, Dance Aerobics, Street Cop, Super Team Games, and Short Order Eggsplode.
Get out of here now, please!
Hey, you forgot the Power Glove!
And yep, thanks, Freddy. Now we're going to look at the Power Glove, and this was another serious failure for the NES. This was created by Mattel in 1989. Games that could be played with it were Super Glove Ball and Bad Street Brawler. But really, by punching in certain codes on the glove's keypad, you could play other games. I think all the other games. But boy, was it confused, complicated, and just stupid. And this is your typical NES cartridge. Kind of weird looking, but it would lay flat and feed into the system, but you had to lift the door first on the NES console, and you push the cartridge in, and then you push it downwards. So it almost kind of feeds in like a VHS tape, or VCR. This mechanism to push the game down in the system eventually made wear and tear on the inside of the system, and it tended to not want to read games after a while. You'd turn the system on, but a red light would just flash, and you wouldn't be able to play a game. That kind of sucked. On the inside of the game, there would get dirt at the bottom of the cartridge, and players would often blow into it. And as long as you didn't have a whole lot of spit on your lips, that often seemed to do the trick. Dirt would collect there, and maybe to be more safe, you could use like a swab with some sort of a cleaning solution that wouldn't damage the circuitry. There were several other controllers and peripherals for the NES, too many to list. Some of them came with games, some of them came with the whole NES system. But one of my favorite things for the NES was the awesome Game Genie by Galoob, created in 1990 for the NES. And this awesome device actually kind of looked like a thong to me. And the games plugged in kind of weird into it, and then the top of the device where it says Game Genie on it, that would plug into the NES, and it didn't look like it would fit. I mean, you pushed down, I think, on it. It stuck out of the system. It looked like it wasn't going to fit, but it worked. And it had a screen where you input codes, and they were 6 or 8 digits, and you could have 3 lines of codes. And they could make all sorts of different things happen in your game. It was really, really unbelievable for its time, and just breathed whole new life into your NES. It was awesome. I think Nintendo took them to court and tried to sue them, but they didn't succeed. I think Galoob said that you could make the game harder or you could make it easier. It was just, and I'm glad that they won, because it really is awesome. the popularity of the NES gave rise to the magazine Nintendo Power, which talked about current games, upcoming games, gave tips and hints and stuff. It was really cool. And also there was the NES Seal of Quality, and it appeared on pretty much all the official Nintendo releases. The games still sometimes sucked that had this seal on, so it didn't really mean anything. The NES sold almost 62 million units worldwide. It was far and away the best-selling third-generation console, miles ahead of the Sega Master System and the Atari 7800, which I believe were second and third place, respectively. But I thank you for watching my look at the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES, and I also invite you to join me one of these days for my 20 from the Nintendo Entertainment System series, where I will look at what I feel are the 20 best games for that system. It's going to be hard to pick just 20, but I hope that you join me for that, and I thank you for watching. Hope you learned a little something about the NES that you didn't know already. Have a good one, everybody, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.